Welcome to the World of Warcraft Class, Items, and Professions Q&A panel. Here to answer your questions are Greg Street, Chris Zierhut, Chris Kalecki, Ian Hazikostas, Jonathan LeCraft, and Owen Landgren.
It's Q&A time again. We love this every year. I'm going to go ahead and answer the first question, which I know will come up, which is, why do I hate paladins? And the truth is, a ret paladin killed my parents. It's very true. No, it's not true. Mom, Dad, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. But I know they're not watching, so they're like, what is it you do again for a living? I nerf paladins, of course. I know I'm mean to you guys, but man, you make it so easy. I guess we could pick on warlocks for a while instead, but I don't know, man. Warlocks scare me. All right, enough of that silliness. This is the class and item team. It's not even all of them. We have a very large team. They're the best in the business, and I don't tell them that enough, so I'm saying it now. And I've been talking for hours here at Blizzcon, so I'm not going to do a lot of answering myself. I'll throw stuff to them, and let's see what you got.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's go. First question.
This question is about the shadow orbs for shadow priests. The wording on the new talents suggested they were going to a more resource-based paradigm, like holy power or something. Is that true, and will that change how they're spent and generated?
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like, we're still working out the details, but the idea is it'd be kind of a secondary resource kind of mechanic, and try to get like all the RNG aspect out of it, and open it up to more abilities maybe. Like, the idea currently is that Mind Blast wouldn't have a mana cost. It would just cost Shadow Orbs. It would have no cooldown. So you would just build up the Shadow Orbs and use it. You know, the more Shadow Orbs you get, the more Mind Blast you'd be able to do. So that's the current thought process.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question about the state of healing in PvP and PvP healing classes. Are you satisfied with the state of healing in PvP? The concept previously mentioned was triage healing. Healers would have to make tough choices about who they had to heal. People in PvP would spend 50% HP a lot of time at that state. Have you seen that, and are you satisfied with the way PvP healing has turned out, where I really don't think we've seen that borne out, and classes are still at either 100% or 0%?
You want to take that?
I would just say, I mean, balancing PvE and PvP PvE and PvP healing is just like a big challenge. And you're right that the idea was supposed to be more of a triage kind of thing, bring it back to where it was like in vanilla and BC, to where it was more about like decision making and quick swapping and stuff, rather than just blowing someone up in quick GCDs and in burst. And I think we did get there in Cataclysm in the beginning, but it degenerates as the tier moves on, just because of how PvE and PvP mix together and how itemization scales. You saw in the last patch in 4.3 we like buffed Mortal Strike, which we really didn't want to do because we don't like how Mortal Strike, where there's certain comps with certain, like with rogues or warriors or whatever, that you just need to have someone with Mortal Strike. But we've also seen like certain comps where, I mean, today or yesterday with some of the tournaments or whatever, a lot of the comps are like double caster, like Mage Warlock or whatever. So you'll be able to bring back warriors and rogues and stuff, and you'll see them more in comps, I guess, after the change. But yeah, it's something we talk about all the time, and like I don't think we've, solved the problem yet, but it's something we're still working on. Cool.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is, I've noticed on the new tanking trees, like a lot of the active tanking, like debuffs, like moralizing roar or something, showing up as talent. What's happening to those abilities, and how does it play into the active tanking model that you've been talking about?
So we decided to cut Demoralizing Shout and Demoralizing Roar altogether because it just felt like a maintenance-y buff that you just had to do every once in a while. It didn't have a lot of gameplay to it. It wasn't very interesting. It's just always up. And the Druid talent, Demoralizing Roar, and the new talent tree, it basically just stole the old name. It's not really, it had a different name, but since Demoralizing Roar was available, that was a better name, right? As far as the active tanking, it's more along the lines of what the Death Knight does, where you know you're low health and you Death Strike and you save it for those situations, building that kind of functionality into all of the tanking classes so that they use their resources to keep themselves alive instead of the resources to generate threat. So they have a role in keeping themselves alive instead of just trusting the healers to take care of them.
Thank you.
How you doing, gentlemen? My question is about classes that have like a cap on, say, 100 for a resource. Monk, Warrior, Death Knight, and Rogue. Currently, there are talents in the game to give you up to 130 of said resource. Are there any plans with the new talent trees to do that?
In the case of, with rogues, for example, it's something that currently fits nicely as an assassination niche because mutilate costs so much more energy than the other builders. You want to have a larger energy pool to kind of make use of that. It also has obviously some PvP utility in terms of being able to line up more burst. One of the nice things, I think, it is an interesting knob to be able to play with. It's not something that fits very neatly into the current talent system as designed, though it might. They could be the sorts of bonuses that come back, though, in other forms, whether they're potential set bonuses or glyphs even, or it's just some passives that you get while leveling up. I think it's going to vary on a class-by-class basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one with this situation, but I have 10 classes, one of each, and with the introduction of the Monk, are you guys going to consider adding an 11 slots so we don't have to get a new account for them?
Heard that question so many times at BlizzCon. Totally understandable. Obviously it comes up. We've talked a lot about it. We don't have a decision yet on how we want to handle that. We understand players want to have some more classes, more slots they can have a monk on their existing realm. One idea we've talked about, again, no promises, we don't know if we'll do this, is perhaps keeping the maximum cap on the number of characters you can have, but letting you distribute them on as many realms as you want. So you could have a lot of characters in one realm or something.
Thank you.
Hi there, all right. So for event items like the Scourge Invasion, I was wondering if we can get those at the bind on account for like transmogrification purposes for like Death Knights. And their Vengeful Armor, you guys pretty much made that impossible to get right now. I was wondering if we can get those back in with transmogrification because I want to have my Blue Onslaught and Red Lightringer.
So that's something that we're definitely looking forward, at least towards making sure that all of the items that you remember from the good old days are available for transmogrification purposes. I'm happy you brought Vengeful up because that's actually something that we've done in 4.3. If you go out to Area 52 right now on the PTR, shortly on the PTR, there will be vendors that sell the old Gladiator gear to people who earned the higher rank achievements and sell the original Gladiator, Vengeful, and Brutal gear that you remember from back in the day and probably disenchanted or got rid of. The event items being bind on account is something that we could certainly look into in the future, but is a much bigger step because bind on account items are sort of expensive on our side and we have to be careful with how we use that technology.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Two questions. I've been a druid since vanilla and a feral druid. We were able to equip one fist weapon, but not two. Can we get some love on that? Especially since pandas are going to be able to dual fists. And, sorry, second question. As an enchanter, we never got any good drops throughout this expansion. Like we did in Oldor, we had 2 enchant drops that we can get for weapons. Are we going to get any new enchant drops? Just out of curiosity. And I love you.
So, the druid class design is already 4 specs. It's kind of already over the place, and if you had to rework Cat and Bear so they could both dual wield and have a 2-hander as part of their design, it's just now we're ballooning up to 5 or 6 different playstyles in the class. It's just kind of out of control and unnecessary. We're expecting that monk tanks will be using a staff or polearm, and so the feral druid is going to share with the monk tank. But the monk DPS might be using dual fists or other dual wield weapons, and they'd be competing more with the rogues. So it's just they're going in a different direction from that. We've never really talked about making dual wielding druids. It just creates a lot more complexity. The class is already plenty complex.
As far as enchants that are going to be dropping in the next upcoming patches, we don't have any planned. We usually drop those when we feel there's something missing from the enchant spectrum, and it feels pretty solid right now. But in the future, we may just release those, more consistently, for something for enchanters.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.